My name is Carina Gardner, and I'm what you would call a practical designer. If you're ready to create a life that you love, become an incredible force for good, and generate income while pursuing your dreams, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to Make and Design. All right, I wasn't sure what to title this, but I'm calling it How to Get the First Sale because these are the little things that most people are not doing. And I think that if you're like, I am ready to get that first sale, I think that the thing that you need to know is there's a lot of pre-work, and nobody loves to hear that. They just want to be able to like throw something out there and be like, okay, sales come, but it doesn't usually work that way. And many of you who've been in this process know that. Now, I do think it's actually rather simple. There's just usually a lot of things that go at the beginning to get you going. So let's talk about the first two things that I think you really have to get good at if you're deciding, I'm going to start a business and I really want to get sales doing this as a creative. And I'm keeping this real simple today. So this is not like some in-depth, like all the strategies you need to get your first sale, because as always, like in my university or in Design Suite, the goal here is for you to start really critically thinking about what you actually need to do. And I think this, by the way, this works with also, I'm kind of thinking directly about online sales. Okay. So like some of these things you would have to bend a little bit if you're thinking about like trying to get your first manufacturing deal or your first licensing deal or any of those kinds of things. Okay. So this is really specifically for those of you who are looking at online sales and you're wanting to create like a product that you're selling online. Okay. So the first two things I want to talk about is, it's always about mindset, which is so crazy because when I got into this, I had no idea like mindset was going to be the thing that I would end up talking about so much. But like the number one thing I think that you need to do is learn how to make good, quick decisions. I see people stuck in the research phase of starting a business for way too long. So they're like stuck. They're thinking about it. They're trying to choose a product. They're doing all this stuff, or they're just researching. They'll research. I'm not saying researching is wrong. I think you should do some research, but it's like they'll be doing it for months or a year or a really long time. And I'm like, when are you going to actually start the thing? Because that's what I really care about. You start the thing and you just go. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, like, lots of people are like, but then what if I make the wrong decision? Okay, let me give you an example of this. So I don't know if you guys have recently looked, but our website name has changed. So when I started and applied for everything, which has been a few months now, we decided the name of the university was going to be University of Arts and Design Business, because that's what we do. We teach creatives how to create businesses. A few months in, we started rethinking this, okay? So we started thinking about this, and I was like, I woke up one day almost in a sweat, and I was just like, we have to change the name. And after using the name for a few months, I realized that it was not the right name. Not because I didn't tell everyone what we did, but because it was so darn long. And so we shortened it to the University of Arts and Design. And it did a few things for us. We know that at some point we're going to open up other programs, do different certificates and master's degrees other than the design business one we're currently doing. And it just opened up a lot of possibilities for all the arts that we planned on doing. And that was really tough because I don't know if you know this, but like if you make a decision like that, we have an LLC and we have a post-secondary license. Like I did a lot of research before we actually changed the name, but it was such a hassle to change it. It was all these things. The website had to change all the things. And so a lot of times people will be like, well, I'm afraid of making a quick decision because what if I have to change it later? And I'm going to tell you, as someone who makes quick decisions, you won't know if you have to change it later until you actually do it. And even I've seen this often with companies where they will be thinking about something for a really long time, thinking they figured out all the kinks from it, and then they go to do it. And there's still more changes they have to make because it's unexpected what's going to happen once they make that decision. That's what happened to us with the university. It was unexpected that it being so long was actually going to be a little bit of a burden on some of the things we were doing. Just had no idea. And so it wasn't until we started using it that it became really obvious that we needed to make this change. And of course, we were going to make this change as soon as we could because we're brand spanking new. And so that's what I'm talking about with quick decisions. I think people labor it and they're like afraid they're going to make the wrong decision. And I'm here to tell you, you are going to make decisions that are wrong. And there is nothing wrong with it. And you will figure out how to fix it. Because fixing it is part of being a business owner. And I think making quick decisions has really made it possible for me to do everything I have done. And so if you really want to create businesses that are sustainable, that are going to bring in income, you have to move quickly anyway. So make those quick decisions and move on, okay? The second thing is the education piece. Now, this may be educating yourself by doing the research. This might be joining a program. This might be joining like a, post-secondary or higher institution. But whatever you need to do, the number one thing I can tell you is that you do not know enough in the current state that you are in. You just don't. I personally, even after my doctorate, as I was starting my online businesses, joined masterminds for the education. Not necessarily because of the community, although that ended up being a really important benefit to me, but because of the education. I just simply didn't know what I didn't know. And so I paid for that education, and I actually paid more for my education in business by joining all these masterminds than I ever did for my doctorate. Because it was important to me, because it was going to help me, and it has. It's made huge differences in my businesses because I've gone out and gotten the education. A lot of people don't want to pay for education, and I'm here to tell you, if you're not paying for education, you are going to be left behind. And I'm not just saying that because I own a private university. I'm telling you it because it has fully transformed my own life. I think getting my master's and my Ph.D. was really important. It taught me the basics and foundations of what I needed to know as a university professor. It gave me, all kinds of things, wonderful things that were really important to me. But what was really awesome is after that, when I started paying $30,000 or more to these different masterminds, and they would go out of their way to teach me things I had never heard before, that I'd never seen before, that helped me understand how copy and marketing worked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is life-changing. And it really is, because it made me better at selling my own design work. It made me so much better. So those two things really are kind of the pre-work that you need to do on how to get your first sale. So now let's talk about the tactical pre-work you need to do. And this is so simple, you guys. When I tell you these two things, you're going to be all like, yeah, duh, Carina. But honestly, it can be this simple. But some of you are not doing this, okay? It's this simple. Number one, have a shop. You did the education, you did the research, you have a shop. Do it. Open up a shop. I'm not talking about your own shop. I'm talking about a shop on another platform. If you open a shop on Shopify or your own website, if you do not have eyeballs and audience, you're not going to make a sale. It's too hard. Maybe you're magic and you're one of the few, but most of us, 99% of us, need to be somewhere where people are already hanging out, okay? So find a shop. One. The second one is have a very specific product. And if you haven't read Make Art That Sells, you need to go read it. You can get it on Amazon. It's my second book. Go read it and do the formula to figure out what kind of product you can create. So many amazing products out there that you as a designer can make, both physically or digitally, depending on what you want to do. You can do either one of those things. But what I see is people don't open the shop, or they don't come up with a product, and they don't just start testing. Guys, it takes a little while to get the first sale. And so if you keep putting off all of this stuff because you're hoping the first product you put up in your first shop is going to make the sale, I almost guarantee that 99% of you will not have that happen. I certainly didn't have that happen. It takes opening the first shop, and it takes having that first product to then make a second product and a third product. And that's number 3, you make more products. So number 1, have a shop. Number 2, have a product. Number 3, make more of them. And that's how we get our first sale. It's that simple. Now, there's a lot of nuances involved here. This is why I talked about fast decision making, right? Because you get onto your first shop, you're not making any sales. What are you doing wrong? Okay, so that's really like digging in and critically thinking and doing the marketing research on your own stuff, which you do need to do, okay? But for that first sell, often it's just by simply posting. Guys, posting it. There's someone listening to this that I know. You haven't bothered opening the shop, and you haven't bothered posting the first product or the first 10 products. You're just sitting on it. You're still thinking about it. You're still planning it. The best thing you can do to get the first sell is to simply be in action, to actually be making action steps, to actually be posting things online, to actually put a banner in your Etsy shop or what other shop you might have. That is how we get our first sell. It's by action, not by just thinking about it. And so while I say number 3, or I said number 3 and 4, your 2 things you need to start doing right now from the get-go, get some education and make some quick decisions. The best tactical thing you can do, like thing that you can actually do in your business, is to just have a shop, make a product, and then keep making more products. But I guarantee it's so crazy the number of people I talk to who just won't do any of those steps. And I can't help you get your first sell unless you're doing those steps. So start there, you guys. So simple, so straightforward. Now, for those of you who are like, I don't want to get my first sell, I'm trying to get my 100th sell, then I guarantee the thing you're not doing is honing in and looking at your marketing analytics to see what's selling best and what's going well for you. And if you're not doing that, then how would you know how to make your 100th or your 200th or your 500th sell? Because you have to know what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And that data comes from you. That doesn't come from a random designer on the internet who's trying to tell you on her podcast to get your first sell. If you're at your 200th sell or 500th sell, then you've got to be thinking about the marketing that you're doing currently and how you're moving it along. That's what you're trying to do, okay? So, first sell. Do these first steps, okay? Then you get to be a little more technical, right? Because now you get to start digging into why haven't you gotten your first sell? Is it because you don't have enough products up? Is it because your preview sucks? Is it because you're not in a great product category? You get to start analyzing those things. And that really is step number 4. Okay, so number 1, have a shop. Number 2, have a product. Number 3, put more products in there. Number 4, start analyzing what you have up. Most people never do that step. They don't even bother. But you've done all this pre-work. You're making quick decisions. You're getting education. You've spent all this time researching and have decided on an online shop where you're going to put your stuff up. You did all this research and you made a first product. And you did more research and you made 10, 20 more products. And then people stop right there. So if you're in that place, you've already done most of the work. It's just a little bit more work from there to figure out what's going well and what's going wrong. And some of it is just writing down a list, pros, cons, what's going on. Are people even seeing your product? What's happening? Is it the right shop for you? Do some critical thinking about how it's all working out for you. And I promise you will get your first sell. You just have to be thinking smarter than the average Joe about it. And a lot of times what we're all doing is the same. Designers and artists and creatives, we're all thinking the same. If we put up 2 or 3 things, people will like our work and they'll just buy it. It's rarely the case. People don't buy just to buy. They buy things that they need or they want. So are you creating that? And I think you'll get your first sell. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Someone needed to hear this today. And I'll see you soon.
Did you know you have access to more free design content, die cut files, and sewing patterns? Join our exclusive VIP group for free by going to designsweetcourses.com/free.